This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What is good, everybody? Welcome into Benny and the Bets. Special two-part episode. This is part one. I'll be joined by the Chief Content Officer over at Fade the Noise, Mike Randle. Mike is going to go over the Week 9 plays that he has. In particular, a couple key thoughts on the Dolphins and the Chiefs, and a couple of notes, particularly in that matchup, that I think might surprise you. So very excited to talk to him about that game. Part two of my conversation with Mike is his bread and butter. Like, this is the stuff that he knows probably as well as anybody in the country when it comes to breaking down and evaluating college basketball. So that's going to be part two. A full-on college basketball preview. We'll talk KU, K-State, and Mizzou. But here we're going to get things started when it comes to breaking down the NFL Week 9 slate, including the Dolphins and the Chiefs in Germany. Mike, I love having you on because not only are we right around the corner from college basketball season, which I know is your certainly your bread and butter, but there's plenty to talk about in the NFL this week. There's a marquee matchup in Germany with the Chiefs and the Dolphins. We got a great game between the Bengals and the Bills this week, a few others along the way, but mostly I just get to see your smiling face and that makes me happy.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for having me, Ben. We are in the midst of it. We just had, what was it called? Sports Palooza, where we had all four major sports on Monday.
Yeah, the sports Equinox.
Equinox. Thank you, Equinox. Sorry, Palooza. Yeah, it's a party either way.
There's definitely a party feel to it.
Absolutely. And now we have college hoops, men and women, coming on Monday, so can't wait to get started. Lines dropped last night. We were talking before we got on here, just the scrolling, and every time I see yet another one, and I'm bringing back Mike White and Johnny Dawkins thoughts. I mean, I can't wait.
Right. How long have you been covering this side of the industry? I know you've been at FTN for a couple of years now, obviously a long time with the Action Network. Like, collectively, when it comes to sort of looking back at when you first got started and how you first got started, like, do you remember when you first got the itch and when you decided to really kind of pursue this full time?
Totally, Ben. I was in public education and I enjoyed a great career in public education, teaching math and coaching, doing so many wonderful things, working my way up to administration. And then in 2016, I just started saying, I love to do some stuff in my personal time for free, break down lines, break down matchups, do some stats, regression analysis, things like that. My first article, Ben, horrific, was Ezekiel Elliott, why he would be a terrible pick for the Cowboys. So shows you how terrible my analysis was when we started. It was something.
I don't know. You're kind of ahead of your time, Mike.
The silly overused line, Ben, caveat emptor, right? I thought I was being so cool with that first one. But that's what it was. And then it just grew from there. And there were so many people there that I connected with. One was Colin Kelly over at RotoViz. He was looking for someone to help edit podcasts. I said, that sounds like fun. So Colin and I were connecting Ireland and America back and forth. And I learned Audacity and all those things and sort of took off from there. So anyone out there who's looking to get involved, that's how you do it. It's free. Then they pay you a couple shekels to do it. Then you keep moving. And here we are. But yeah, it's been about 7 years now. So I love it.
And here's the thing too, for all of you listening out there, if we would just be, taking care of our teachers and all the folks in the world of education just a little bit more, we may not have had the Mike Randle that we have today. So, I want to thank the education system in this country for allowing you the opportunity to realize that this is truly what you wanted to do.
It's been fun. And I loved being an educator, got to hire a lot of former students and former players that I had on both basketball, track teams, etc. But it was a chance to take a shot. My wife was supportive, which is great. And it was something that grew from a hobby to where we are right now. And so still have a lot of connections, love attending the sporting events. But yes, some of the inner workings, Ben, that could be challenging when you're dealing in any public job now become a little bit different. They just get mad at me if the pick is wrong. So really, it's sort of same thing, but in a different profession.
All right, very much so. All right, so as I mentioned, this is going to be a two-part show. We'll start with the Week 9 lines that certainly are intriguing to us, and we'll kick things off, Mike, with what's happening right now between the Dolphins and the Chiefs. A little bit of movement towards the Miami side throughout the course of the week, seeing the Chiefs money line at -125 in that game out in Germany. 1.5-point favorite. Technically, it's considered a Chiefs home game, even though it's all the way out in Frankfurt. Total comes in at 51. I guess, first of all, collectively, there's always been a bit of knowledge when it comes to trying to determine the right time to go. And as we've seen over the course of the London games over the last handful of years, the sooner a team goes out and gets acclimated to the time zone difference and playing this far away from home, more often than not, they tend to perform better. But we're also recognizing the fact that Kansas City is coming off of a pretty painful loss on the road at Denver. Some might argue that it was a bit of a look-ahead game. Miami still has some flaws. I guess, collectively, give me your thoughts on this game and how you're looking at it from sort of an overview perspective before we start diving into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, a couple talking points. One, there is no home field advantage because the game is in Germany. Number two, I thought that game for both teams, Miami and Kansas City, was very telling. I thought Miami would play it very close to the vest, not want to show anything, and they didn't. Kansas City struggled against Denver. Now, you want to say, Ben, interdivision game, favorite on the road, fine. But this is 2 games in a row that they struggled against the Denver defense. It's not like the 19-8 game a couple of weeks ago, their offense was clicking. Everything Kansas City does is dependent on Travis Kelce, who only twice this year has gone over 67 yards receiving. Because he had the monster game against the Chargers, we think this offense is humming. It is not. Sky Moore, yes, I have too many best ball shares, Ben, of Sky Moore. He can't get open. MVS just caught 1 pass this entire year. That's been him. Justin Watson injured. Rashee Rice, great, but still green. And this offense with Isaiah Pacheco only averaged 3.2 rushing yards per attempt last week against Denver. I like Mike McDaniel. I know what the narrative is. Miami doesn't beat anyone over 500, that they're king of the little people. But I think that the playmakers on this offense, I trust Tua. I trust the offense. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes may have had the flu last week. I'm going to take the points and the underdog here with Miami. I think they get the win in Germany. I think there are issues with Kansas City that we are not talking about because their record has been good and they've had enough big performances from Kelce to mask some of the other issues. Don't trust the O-line. Defense has been good, but Tyreek against his former team. I'm going with the Dolphins this week in Germany.
So is it more a play on sort of fading Kansas City's offense at this point, or more a play on, regardless of how strong the Kansas City defense has looked, and there've been a couple moments, I think about that first half against the Chargers, where teams were finally able to exploit them, but they made those necessary adjustments. And even to a certain extent, that game against Denver just felt like the whole team was out of sync. Is it kind of a collective fade the Chiefs at this moment in time, or are you kind of looking at them long-term and saying, yeah, there's some major concerns here that I don't feel comfortable about, even with Mahomes and Kelce, if they're healthy come postseason?
It's trusting, Ben. I like to go into games across all sports. What is the most reliable unit in the game? Offense, defense, either team. The most reliable unit to me in this game is the Miami offense. I think they are going to score. I think they're going to be good on a neutral field. And yes, Kansas City's defense has been solid, but look at some of the, besides the Charger game, they haven't played a ton of great quarterbacks. Destroyed Justin Fields at home when Chicago really wasn't playing well, totally dismantled. The Jets, they barely escaped there against Zach Wilson. So I agree. I think that the Chiefs defense is going to be tested. I trust this Miami offense more, and I don't like the narrative here. Patrick Mahomes on the road can be a big against the spread bet, but when he is a slight favorite in a neutral field, one or the other, I think it's going to be a fade for me. So I like Miami. I like their offense. I trust their playmakers. And yes, I'm concerned about the Kansas City offense here. I'm not sure if it's ready to put up enough points to win this game in Germany.
Yeah, and again, based off of what we're seeing with that spread, Mahomes via Evan Abrams over at Action Network, he's played in 3 neutral site games over the course of his career, 3-0 against the spread, covering by only 5.2 points. That might seem like a lot based off of the spread, but again, we're talking about Super Bowls. We're talking about the international game against the Chargers. And the Chiefs have put up points in those games. But again, very different style of the offense, very different playmakers for Mahomes available as well, and going against a very dangerous offense in Miami. I ended up taking Kansas City in this game. Got them early in the week on the money line before I knew that they'd be leaving a little bit late. A little bit nervous about it, Mike, just purely based on everything that we're talking about. Like, there are genuine concerns. But hopefully, at least for our audience and for everybody, it will be a fun back and forth game, because I think Chiefs fans, they feel confident in their defense now. They'd like to see the offense be able to trade possessions against some good teams over the course of this game. What about some of the other matchups that intrigue you this week? I know that there's a very intriguing matchup taking place between the Bills and the Bengals on Sunday Night Football right now. Cincinnati, a 2-point favorite at home, total of 49.5. It's very odd to find the Bills as an underdog. It's just not something that we're accustomed to. At the same time, like they're so enigmatic, because this is a team that when they win, they tend to blow you out. And we've seen a couple of years they've actually won some close games, but given away some games as well. What's your assessment of this game and this particular matchup? And are the Bengals starting to get hot at the right time?
Public's on the wrong side here, Ben. I firmly believe that. One game has cured everyone's concerns with the Bengals. I don't like their offensive line. I don't like their terrible running game. Joe Mixon has been inefficient all year. Yes, they had a nice win against San Francisco on the road without Deebo Samuel, where Brock Purdy kept turning the ball over left and right. But I don't trust this defense. And if you go back for Bet Labs, Josh Allen as a road underdog, 10-3-2. That's 77% against the spread with Sean McDermott and Josh Allen on the road. I like the Bills here. I think the knee-jerk reaction, the recency bias is way too strong. Bets and money are on the Bengals. No way. I know that the Bills have struggled, but they've also put some big-time performances out there. I will take the Bills in a buy low spot here against a Bengals team that I don't think has fixed that much. Yes, Joe Burrow is healthy. Yes, Jamar Chase is going to be an issue, but the running game has still struggled. The defense is very questionable. Good coach in Sean McDermott. I think it's a buy low spot on the Bills. I can't believe they're getting points. I grabbed it at 3. It's now at 2.5. Even though the majority of bets men are on the other side, I think that tells us something here. So I'm going to take a chance with Josh Allen on the road.
I think it's a great play, and I think especially if you're looking for a way to maybe tease this game, Buffalo from +2 to +8 is another really opportunistic way to be able to go here. I think one of the teasers that I took earlier in this week involved the New Orleans Saints. At one point, they were -7. I got them down to -1. You can still move the Saints at home against the Bears team that continues to befuddle everything that's going on. They fired another coach this week. You can go ahead and move the Saints if you want down to -2.5. Tease it with the Bills line to +8. And you should find yourself in a very advantageous spot. Is there anything else from the Week 9 slate that catches your attention before we shift things and move to the world of college basketball?
No, I think we're good. Tonight's game is very interesting with Pittsburgh and Tennessee. I've trust Deontay Johnson getting open. I think the issue, Ben, what we're seeing is sometimes these quarterbacks, with the exception of the great ones, they have to see you open to throw the ball. And so Deontay Johnson can get open. So whether it's Pickett or Trubisky or wherever it's going to be, it doesn't surprise me because when Deontay Johnson's in this offense, they're averaging 3 more points per game. The rushing yardage per game goes down. The passing yardage goes up. He is the straw that stirs the drink tonight. So I think Deontay Johnson going over his receiving prop, it's about 55.5, 56.5 is a good bet as well. Pittsburgh gets Cam Hayward back. Very underrated here. Should stop or at least provide more resistance for the Tennessee rushing attack as well. So good games all around, but we get to 2 big ones. Dolphins, Chiefs in Germany, and Bills, Bengals, of course, on Sunday night.
I'm with you. I ended up taking the under on this one at 37, just because I do see some concerns for Tennessee. I think Pittsburgh, especially with that defense at home, Will Levis looked terrific last week, but again, now you got a little bit more film, short turnaround. Hopkins was great. There's no way Pittsburgh is going to leave him that open the way that we saw him from a week ago. I mentioned the teaser that I had last week involving the Saints. Also teased them with the Cleveland Browns, moved that line down to -2. They're going up against Arizona, who's now playing likely with Clayton Tune. And we'll have some more picks for you over the course of the week. Just be following us on Twitter at KC Sports Network. You can follow me at Benny Heis. If you're not following Mike, by the way, shame on you because the content is outstanding. You should be following him at Randle Rand. And where can everybody follow you as far as FTN, FTN Bets, FTN Fantasy? There's several different handles, all with outstanding content that people can follow to get themselves ready for the week.
Yeah, FTN Bets, FTN Daily, FTN Fantasy across the board. We're offering a special here for college basketball, women's and men's college basketball. First month, 50% off the first month here at FTN Bets. Come on over, use college basketball as the promo code. We're ready to rock and roll. Great things. Already putting bets into the bet tracker. Our Discord is hopping. It's a great time. Come on over, join us. You won't be disappointed.
Absolutely not. And I'm excited that there's not only great coverage for college basketball on the men's side, but also on the women's side as well. And for anybody that is betting a lot of college basketball on the women's side, you're going to find more advantageous spots because a lot of these books are less likely to move lines quickly. There's so many different games that are available. It's like betting on the WNBA at the right time. You can find better opportunities to take advantage of some of these lines. So what Mike and his team are doing at FTN is really providing that outlet in the conversation that they have. You're already on the KCSN Discord, so you might as well join the FTN one as well. So awesome stuff from Mike Randle over at Fade the Noise, going over some of those key matchups as we get ready for the Week 9 slate. For a friendly reminder that this is only part 1 of this episode. Coming up a little bit later on this week, Mike is going to be back with us to go over the full start of college basketball season. We've got futures looks when it comes to KU, Mizzou, K-State, how Houston enters into the Big 12 mix, division breakdowns. We're going to go through what you need to know to make sure that you're prepared to bet on the start of college buckets. That is coming your way next. But again, my thanks to Mike Randle for joining us, also to Tucker Franklin for producing our show as well for today. So for Mike and Tucker, I'm Ben. May all of your best bets hit. We'll talk to you again on the other side as we break through the start of college basketball season.